Good morning. I think I have a problem. So I wanted to talk to you about a book that I love, which is Don Quixote de la Mancha. But then I thought about how can I relate it to what Elias just told you about, Averroès, or Ibn Rushd. I should put this here. Okay. So let's start with Don Quixote de la Mancha. Don Quixote de la Mancha is one of the most important pieces of literature. It was written during the 17th century by the Spanish writer Miguel de Cervantes. The book tells the story of an old nobleman called Don Quixote, who was so obsessed with chivalry stories. He used to read so many tales of heroes and knights, to the point that one day he will realize that he was meant to be a knight. And he will embark on his own adventure. He will have to endure so many miserable and painful things, but hilarious things, that illustrates the contrast between reality and fiction, because Don Quixote was so, he refused to see reality as it is because he was so influenced by the books he read. So when I was reading this book, one of the things that attracted my attention was a name, a strange one. Siri Hamiti Benenjali, also known as Sayyid Hamid Badinjan Eater, eggplant eater. What a name. So what's the story of this man? Here's a passage from Don Quixote where Cervantes tells the story of this man. One day, when I was in the Alcana market in Toledo, a boy came by to sell some notebooks and old papers to a silk merchant. As I am very fond of reading, I was moved by my natural inclinations to pick up one of the volumes the boy was selling. And I saw that it was written in characters I knew to be Arabic. It occurred to me that those volumes contained the history of Don Quixote, History of Don Quixote of La Mancha, written by Sidi Hamiti Benenjali, an Arab historian. That's a good sign. So basically what Cervantes is doing here is he's telling a story of a story. He claims that he's not the one who wrote Don Quixote, but the Arab eggplant eater historian. But this made me ask this question. An Arabic manuscript in Toledo, Spain? How? So I was curious to know more about Toledo, the city. And I picked this book, The Map of Knowledge, written by an English historian called Violet Muller. It has a chapter about Toledo. And I read, this city was a bridge between Greco-Arabic culture and Latin Europe, a place where scientific knowledge was not only held in safety, but translated and transmitted to the scholars of the future. Toledo was the main site of translation from Arabic to Latin. That's another good sign. So, what I get from this is there was something written in Arabic that Europeans thought it was worth translating. So I just continued reading, and I stumbled upon this. Girard's Latin edition of The Elements was the second of 3 translations from Arabic in the 12th century. The Elements. I know this book. The Elements is one of the most important books of mathematics. It was written 300 BCE in Alexandria. And it had been translated to Arabic in Baghdad during the times of the Abbasid dynasty. And it was written by the Greek, it was not written in Arabic. It was written in Greek by the Greek mathematician Euclides. Here's a painting of him. And this is part of this fresco. It's called the School of Athens. It's in the Vatican City, and it was done by the Italian painter Raphael. So the place is kind of crowded, but these people are not random people, but they are the most important figures, like philosophers, scientists, all painted there in the Academy of Athens. So if we zoom in, We can find here Socrates numbering the times he cheated on her. Here is Plato and Aristotle discussing some really deep philosophical issues, obviously. And this one is Pythagoras. He's teaching some mathematical concepts to his students. The girl over there is like, who the hell is this person? The one with the turban and the cool mustache. So who is this? Fortunately, the map of knowledge had a paragraph about this painting that had been studied by historians in order to know who those people are. And let's discover who that man is. On the left of the painting, a man wearing a turban is leaning over Pythagoras' shoulder to see what he is writing. He is the Muslim philosopher Averroès, the single identifiable representative of the 1,000 years between the last of the ancient Greek philosophers and Raphael's own time, and the single representative of the vital, vibrant tradition of Arab scholarship that had flourished in this period. These scholars, who were of various faiths and origins, but were united by the fact that they wrote in Arabic, had kept the flame of Greek science burning, combining it with other traditions and transforming it with their own hard work and brilliance, ensuring its survival and transmission down through the centuries to the Renaissance. I think this passage sums it all up. Yes, I made it. I successfully crossed through the labyrinth. Today we are at this beautiful place named after Ibn Rushd. He's not here today with us, I believe. But he died in the 12th century in a place that is not very far from here, in Marrakesh. He was buried there, but then some years later, his body was transmitted to Cordoba in Spain for some reason. And I only have one question left. What about the knowledge he produced? Where did it go? Thank you.